Adam, for a hot minute there was a lot of M&A. There was a lot of M&A talk. We were wondering what was going on. Now it kind of settled down there for a while, but here comes some news out of the MGM world about an acquisition.
A typical situation in these typical times for those who might enjoy the Dave Matthews Band. Typico, one of the lower market share entries in the U.S. that had, of course, made significant money in Europe over the years and really hadn't cracked much of the egg here in the United States, has sold its U.S. facing business to MGM Resorts International. So one less brand in the U.S. market. What is key to this deal is understanding that MGM plans to use the Tipico assets, and by that we mean the Tipico tech, to further its rest of world product. This is not something that goes to BetMGM. The purchase is actually being made through Leo Vegas, another previous purchase by MGM Resorts. Bill Hornbuckle had teased the fact that there was an acquisition coming here as MGM tried to better its sports betting and iGaming product internationally, and that is where the Tipico assets will be focused. Financial terms not yet discussed, although we are coming up on Q2 earnings reports, so you assume that we will get more information in that at the very latest. But as of right now, what we know is that one of the smaller brands in the United States, another, I should say, of the smaller brands in the United States is no more. And Matt, it's the consolidation that happens in every new business that comes up and around. We have just seen a lot of it come from similar places with foreign-based entries that have not necessarily been able to capture what it is that the U.S. sports bettor is looking for, or just has not been willing to invest the resources at the volume and pace of losses that some of the larger operators have been willing to do in order to establish themselves with market share.
Yeah, we always talk about the giants in the industry in DraftKings and FanDuel. And Adam, you know, we know that there's money behind Caesars and MGM because of all of the legacy stuff and all the land-based casino operations and whatnot. The thing that we've kind of been preaching was, okay, if you're not one of the brands that everybody is super familiar with, and you're not one of the big two in DraftKings and FanDuel, you kind of better be doing something different. Like, how else are you going to separate yourself? You better be doing something different. I talked to a couple of buddies. You know, I have some friends that are pro to semi-pro bettors over up in Colorado, moved to Colorado actually whenever Colorado got going because of all of the market access that Colorado had. There were just so many sports books up there that everybody wanted to move where there were the most outs. And Tipico never came up, right? You know, just as one that people were betting on using for any sort of certain thing. There were never any of the crazy bonuses. There were never any of the differentiating factors inside of an app or markets that were available, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's kind of one of those deals where we look at this and there's DraftKings and FanDuel, then there's, you know, basically everybody else that, as we talked about in previous podcasts, some analysts out there say is not even a level 2. There's just a level 3. There's level 1, skips level 2 and goes down all the way to level 3. And it's the deal. We mentioned, at least with Fanatics, maybe there's some sort of bonus thing where, you know, you're tapping into the collectible side of deals, whatever. And that's at least different, right? That's what we've always talked about. Like, at least try to differentiate yourself some way, shape, or form. And Tipico really never did that, and kind of was an afterthought even for us here on this podcast. Hell, what have we mentioned them 3 times in 200 episodes?
Yeah, I think the most important thing to keep in mind with whether it's Tipico or whether it's a number of the other small operators, there was a thought over the last, let's say, 12 to 18 months that maybe we pivot the whole idea to waiting for iGaming, right? That when iGaming launches, potentially it's a different market. We'll have a different advantage. We have a different set of customers that we can try to bring into this. And I think what's become clear throughout the last 12 to 18 months is that there's not going to be the same velocity to iGaming being legalized at the state level that there was to sports betting being legalized at the state level. There are 38 states that have some form of legal sports betting, and you're looking at 7 right now for iGaming. And any of the momentum that began this year was minimal in terms of what they got done in 2024 and what could be coming in 2025. And so I think any smaller operator that thought maybe we'll try to hang on for the next iGaming launch is realistically looking at the landscape and saying it's not coming in a time that makes sense for us to make a profit.